At the time of recording this video, a lot of people are getting very excited for Toy Story 4, which is set to come out this summer, 2019. Toy Story is perhaps one of the biggest movie franchises of all time. People older than me grew up with it, and there will now be little kids who are about to experience Toy Story for the first time this year. It's great. We all love Toy Story, but how well do you know it? While I was reading about the latest movie coming out, I stumbled across some pretty strange theories about Toy Story. The more I looked, the darker they got. I thought I'd pick the best 10 out for you today. My name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 scary Toy Story theories. Starting off at number 10 now, we have same faces. At the end of 2017, The Mirror posted an interesting theory about the original Toy Story movie. Have you guys ever noticed how similar the faces look in that movie? Now when I say that, you may think I mean the toys' faces, right? I mean, they're all basically plastic toys. In real life, plastic toys all kind of have that similar vacant expression, a bit dead behind the eyes. However, this story pointed out that the toys actually had quite different looking faces. It was the children that looked creepily similar in the original Toy Stories movie. Early on in that movie, we see Andy playing with his toys. Later on, we see Andy's friends attending his birthday party, and they look very similar to Andy. Like, almost identical. They also look just like Andy's neighbor Sid, the boy who likes to torture toys. What's going on here? Why does every kid in this movie have the same face? Some people say this is just a product of animation at the time. Although Pixar's animation still holds up almost 25 years on, they were still limited by what they could do. Perhaps that is the reason. Others say that this isn't true, because they managed to make the toys look all so unique. Some say that the humans in the movie are actually the toys, and that what we think of the toys are really the living people, if you can get your head around that. That would also explain why they're able to move and talk, but it also produces a whole bunch of other questions. Next up at number 9 now, we have Andy's father. Fans of Toy Story will notice the absence of Andy's father throughout the Toy Story movies. Some people say that his parents just weren't together, or maybe they split up, but others think that Andy's father died. One Reddit user suggested that Woody was the last toy that Andy ever received from his father before he died. Andy's mother noticed how much Woody helped Andy through the grieving process, and so she kept buying him more and more toys to help him deal with the pain. This is why Andy's toys remained in his toy box even when he was 18 years old. They weren't just toys to him, they were his last connection to his father. Now despite all of this, Andy decided to give them away when he went to college, and we see how much it really hurts him to do that. If this theory is true, then the toys in Toy Story helped fill a very dark place in Andy. They were much more to Andy than just childhood toys. Moving on to number 8 now, we have the Immortals. This is a very weird theory that came from Reddit and was written by Nameless88. He said he thinks the toys in Toy Story are immortal. They cannot die. This doesn't mean they can't be destroyed, it just means they can't die of old age, so to speak. This means they will outlive every owner they ever have. The toys' time with Andy will just repeat all over again when he gets old and dies. This is quite disconcerting when you think about the tortured toys in the first movie that Sid made that are very much still alive, albeit horribly mangled. Those toys are technically still alive. Perhaps they even feel the same pain as we do, and it will never ever end unless they're incinerated. Taking them apart won't kill them. We once saw Mr. Potato Head able to feel and use his body parts even though they weren't anywhere near him. This means that as long as any part of a toy lives, they will live on forever. Another creepy thought is that if humans one day go extinct, the toys may not. They may just live on forever, kind of like WALL-E, which is another well-known Pixar movie. The toys will live on for thousands, millions, or perhaps even billions of years, unable to end their lives unless through fiery suicide. What a horrible, horrible thought. Alright, next up at number 7 now, we have Sid's family. Many people see Sid as a villainous little kid who deserves no sympathy for creating the mutant toys. Well, there is a theory that Sid is actually the product of a neglectful family. One piece of evidence for this is the rocket that was mailed to him at the house. In the 90s, ordering things online weren't as simple as they are these days. Sid must have had one of his parents order it for him, and they must not have cared that it was a life-endangering rocket that could have easily hurt their small child. Also, some people point to that one shot of the dad apparently passed out on the couch surrounded by cola cans. Now they say the cans only say cola on them because Pixar didn't want to show what the cans really were. They were beer cans. Of course, having a few beers and falling asleep on the couch is isn't a bad thing by any means. I've done that a fair few times. But people who push this theory say that it could be a sign of the father's alcoholism and of Sid's neglect. Moving on to number 6 now, we have the toy corpses. This is a pretty dark theory that contradicts the immortal theory we heard before. In July 2018, Baron Stigman tweeted out that his daughter had ruined Toy Story for him forever. Apparently, she said that if one of the toys died, then Andy wouldn't know and he'd keep on playing with its corpse. Before long, this tweet blew up with people sharing their shock and horror at this theory. One user said this thought had scarred them for life. Another thanked them for ruining Toy Story as well. What about you guys? Is that thought gonna just creep you out every time you watch Toy Story? Maybe it's done that to me already. Coming at number 5 now, guys, we have the Illuminati. This is perhaps one of the most bizarre theories I've heard so far in anything, actually. I can't even quite wrap my head around it, but here I go. It was written on the Brainbender site by David B. He says that the plot of Toy Story 3 is a clever predictive programming of what the Illuminati would do if they were in power. They say that, as Alex Jones predicts, if nuclear bombs ever went off in American cities, the Illuminati would use it as an excuse to start the North American Union, which is meant to be the daycare from Toy Story 3. At first, this union, like the daycare, will seem like a good thing, but eventually it will lead to a nightmare scenario. If you aren't sold on this theory yet, and trust me, neither am I, they provide one last piece of evidence. Lotso the bear made a comment in the movie about constructing a pyramid with himself at the top, just like the Illuminati pyramid.
It's Lotso! He's made us into a pyramid, and he put himself on top!
Anyone concur with Ken?
If you want to read this full story, then please go and check it out. Perhaps you can make some more sense out of it than me. Moving on to number 4 now, we have special training. This theory comes from Reddit user Octogenarian Sandwich. Great name. He made a post where he addresses the issue about Buzz pretending to be a toy. So in the first Toy Story movie, you'll remember that Buzz thinks he is an actual space ranger. He refuses to acknowledge that he is a toy. It takes a long time before Woody and the others can convince him. Okay, that's fine, but why does Buzz still freeze up whenever humans come into the room? That's something only toys do. If he thinks he's an actual space ranger, then he should just keep acting normally. Why is he freezing up like that? Well, this theory states that he was actually trained to do that because he's a unique toy. Perhaps every single Buzz Lightyear is a specially trained spy. Stay with me here. In order to fit in, Buzz has to do what every spy does, fit in with the locals, even if this means pretending to freeze in position when a human enters the room. If this is true, then who programmed all the Buzz Lightyears, and where does this theory even end? Moving on to number 3 now, we have Sid the Savior. So this is about the second time now where I'm about to make you sympathize with Sid. This is the theory. Sid knows that toys are alive. He learned this after they attacked him on Woody's command in the first movie when Woody was trying to save Buzz. Woody did that because he also knew it was the only way to save the mutant toys from being mashed together with parts that weren't their own by Sid. However, Sid's new knowledge has led him to become a garbage man by the time we get to Toy Story 3 so that he can actually save the toys. He does this to make sure all the toys that get thrown out aren't chucked into the incinerator or just thrown onto a dump. People say that he takes them back to his home and he fixes them up. They might still be sort of twisted mutants, but at least they're alive. That's a nice thing, I guess. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Evil Woody. This is a theory posted by Reddit user Itchy Rabbit. They suggested that Woody is not so different from Lotso the evil bear in Toy Story 3. The only real difference is that Woody had a kid. Andy. This is the only thing that saved him from being as evil as Lotso. If Andy had bought a new Woody toy in the first movie, then Woody would have turned out just like Lotso, hurt, bitter, angry, and wanting revenge on the world. Both Woody and Lotso are leaders and they go through a lot to try and get back to their respective kids. For those people who see Woody as a perfect being, Itchy Rabbit points to Woody's darker side in the first movie when he started to feel like he was being replaced by Buzz Lightyear. Luckily, everything turned out alright there, but perhaps in a parallel universe there may be a Toy Story where Woody is the evil toy that needs to be overthrown. And finally at number 1 now we have the Holocaust. Now this is at the number 1 spot for a reason. It's not my theory. My job in this video is to just present theories that other people come up with, and this is definitely the darkest one that I've seen so far. It came from John Hoffman of UGO, who said that the toys being abandoned by Andy for college is similar to Jewish people being abandoned by countries as the Third Reich began to spread across Europe before World War II. Woody gathers the toys to try and form a plan. They refuse to be abandoned and give up, Buzz Lightyear steps forward and suggests they hide in an attic. For Hoffman, this drew parallels to many Jewish people who tried to hide in attics from the Nazis, most famously Anne Frank and her family. Perhaps the darkest comparison is that they are being taken to Sunnyside Daycare, which is meant to be a supposed concentration camp, where they find themselves trapped among others in the same situation as them. I won't go into any more details there. It's a disturbing comparison to say the least, perhaps even an unnecessary one, but it's one that exists online, and so there you go. I laid it out for you today. Well, sorry to end on such a dark note there, but at least it's all over now. Which theory did you think was the most credible? Which theory did you think was the most creepy? What other topics shall I try and look for in scary theories now? The choice, as always, is yours. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Danny Burke, and I will see you all in the next one.